Dust exploded as Big Sam hit the ground. He rolled twice, groaned, and lay still, one arm bent wrong beneath him. The crowd went quiet, then loud again, laughing and gasping in the same breath. Storm reared above him, black legs cutting the air, nostrils blowing hard. Men scrambled off the fence rail. Someone shouted, get him out before she stomps him." Two cowboys dragged Big Sam clear by his boots. Silver coins changed hands. A boy near the gate shouted, "That's four men this month." Tobias Grant stood gripping the fence, his knuckles white, his old hat pushed back off his sweating head. He didn't cheer. He just watched his ranch's reputation bleed out into the dirt, one thrown rider at a time. Then through the noise, a woman's voice, plain and unhurried, "Let me try." Every head turned. It was Clara Whitfield, standing at the edge of the crowd with a basket of flowers still hooked over her arm, like she'd only stopped on her way somewhere else. Her sleeves were rolled up from washing, her hair coming loose from its pins. For one long second, nobody laughed. Then everybody did. "You," a rancher near the fence nearly choked on his tobacco. "Ma'am, that horse just broke Big Sam's arm." "She'll break your neck," another muttered, not unkindly, the way a man warns a child off a hot stove. Clara set her basket down on a fence post. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice to be heard over the laughing. She simply climbed onto the bottom rail, the way she might climb into a wagon, and looked at the mare. Storm had stopped rearing. She stood breathing hard in the middle of the corral, ears pinned flat, watching this new stranger with wild, wet eyes. "She's not funny," Clara said, quiet enough that only the men nearest the fence caught it. "She's scared." "Scared?" Tobias barked out a laugh that had no joy in it. "Mrs. Whitfield, she just threw a man twice her size." "So would I," Clara said, "if every hand that ever touched me came with a whip behind it." Nobody laughed at that. Someone near the back muttered that a widow had no business in a stock corral. Another said she'd get herself killed, and it wouldn't be Tobias's fault. A young hand snickered behind his hand, already looking forward to the story he'd tell tonight. Clara didn't answer any of them. She swung her leg over the top rail. Tobias lunged forward, "Now hold on." But Clara was already dropping down into the dirt, into the same corral where 4 grown men had just been beaten and thrown, walking straight toward the black mare everyone said could not be ridden. The corral gate stood open behind her, but Clara didn't look back at it. She walked slow, one boot in front of the other, her arms loose at her sides. Storm's ears snapped toward her. The mare backed 2 steps, tail cracking against her own black flank, eyes rolling white at the edges. Behind the fence, the laughing had stopped. Men leaned forward on the rails now, quiet, waiting for the mare to do what she always did. Clara stopped walking. She stood still in the middle of the churned-up dirt, 6 long steps from the horse, and did nothing at all. "What's she doing?" a young hand whispered. "Why ain't she moving?" "Waiting to get killed slower, looks like," someone muttered back. Tobias gripped the top rail so hard the old wood creaked under his hands. He wanted to shout at her to get out, to climb back over the fence before the mare charged. But something in the way Clara stood, patient as a fence post, kept the words stuck in his throat. A full minute passed. Storm's chest heaved. Her eyes stayed fixed on Clara, but her ears, still pinned back, began to twitch, uncertain now instead of furious. Clara spoke, so soft that only the wind and the horse could truly hear it. "I know," she said. "I know what it feels like when everybody's watching, waiting for you to fail." Storm snorted and pawed once at the ground, but she did not rear. Somewhere on the fence, Big Sam's hat came off his head slow, out of nothing but pure disbelief. "She's talking to it," he mumbled through his pain. "She's talking to a wild horse like it's a person." "Foolish," an old rancher grunted. "That's what my mother would have called it. Foolish woman talking to a devil horse." But nobody climbed the fence to stop her. Clara took one small step forward. Storm's whole body tensed, ready to bolt or rise up on her hind legs the way she had for every man before. The crowd sucked in a breath together, certain this was the moment. It did not come. Clara stopped again the instant the mare tensed, and waited there, arms still loose, head slightly turned away so her eyes never locked hard onto the horse's own. "You don't have to trust me yet," she said quietly. "I've got time." A boy near the gate whispered to his friend, "She talks like she knows that horse's whole life story." "Maybe she does," his friend answered. "My pa says grief makes a person see things regular folks can't." Tobias said nothing. He only watched, jaw tight, as the widow stood steady in the dirt of his ranch, closer to the black mare than any man had gotten without being thrown, and the whole corral held its breath waiting to see what she would do next. Clara took one more step. Storm didn't back away this time. The mare's breath came fast and warm, brushing Clara's open palm as she raised it low, not reaching, just there. The crowd on the fence stayed dead silent now. Even the flies seemed to stop buzzing. 15 minutes, Tobias had said. Somebody near the gate pulled out a pocket watch and started counting under his breath, though nobody had asked him to. Minute 3. Clara stood at the mare's shoulder, close enough to feel the heat coming off her black coat. Storm's ears flicked back and forth, listening hard, unsure what to do with a hand that wasn't holding a rope or a whip. Minute 5. The mare snorted and jerked her head sideways, testing. Clara didn't flinch. She didn't grab for the halter. She just stood there, steady as a fence post, and let the moment pass. "She's gonna get stomped," a young hand whispered. "Hush," Big Sam growled from where he sat holding his hurt arm. "Just hush and watch." Minute 8. Clara's fingers finally touched the mare's neck. Storm's whole body shuddered, muscles tight as a drawn rope. For one long second, everybody on that fence leaned forward, sure the mare would rear and throw the widow clean into the dirt like all the others. She did not. Clara began stroking slow, even lines down the black coat, humming low under her breath, some old tune nobody in the crowd knew. Storm's head dropped an inch, then another. "Would you look at that?" an old rancher muttered, pulling his hat off out of pure respect. Minute 11. The mare's tense shoulders eased. Her tail, always swishing hard with fury, hung soft and still. Clara kept humming, kept stroking, patient as falling rain. Minute 13. Without any rope, without any struggle. Clara gathered a bit of the mare's mane in her fingers, and in one smooth motion, swung herself up onto Storm's bare back. The whole corral gasped as one. Men grabbed the fence rails, certain this was it, certain the mare would explode. Storm's legs trembled. Her head snapped up. For one heartbeat, it looked like the whole town's fear was about to come true. Then nothing happened. The mare simply stood there, breathing hard but steady, carrying weight on her back for the first time without fighting it. 15 minutes, the man with the pocket watch called out, his voice shaking. Clara sat calm and tall and gave the gentlest nudge with her heel. Storm walked forward, slow and easy, crossing the corral like she'd done it 100 times before. Nobody cheered right away. They just stood there, mouths open, watching the horse that broke 4 men in a month carry a widow across the dirt like a lamb. Then the whole fence line erupted into shouting, clapping, disbelieving laughter, and Tobias Grant, old and tired, wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve and said nothing at all. The cheering went on a long while. Men who'd been thrown by Storm themselves were clapping loudest of all, even Big Sam, holding his hurt arm but grinning through the pain. Boys climbed the fence rails to get a better look, and someone ran off shouting the news toward the saloon before Clara had even brought the mare to full stop. Tobias walked slow into the corral, hat in his hands, the way a man walks into church. He stood before Clara and Storm and said nothing for a long moment, just looked at the mare's calm eyes and her lowered head. 15 years I've kept horses on this ranch, he said finally, and I never saw one look at a person the way she's looking at you right now. Clara slid down off Storm's back, keeping one hand resting on her neck. She just needed somebody to stop fighting her long enough to listen, she said simply. Word of what happened traveled fast. By the next morning, folks from 2 towns over had heard the tale, and some rode in just to see the mare that once broke men now standing gentle in Clara's stable yard. Clara took Storm home that same week. Tobias wouldn't hear of payment. She was never mine to sell, he told her. She was only ever waiting for you. In the weeks after, the two of them became a common sight around Redrock Hollow, the quiet widow and her black mare, walking the fields at dusk, the horse's dark coat catching the last orange light of the sun. Children would run to the fence just to watch them pass, no longer afraid, only amazed. The men who once laughed at Clara for climbing that corral fence now tipped their hats when she rode by. Big Sam himself, arms still in a sling, told anyone who'd listen, "She didn't tame that horse. She understood her. There's a difference, and don't you forget it." Tobias, sitting on his porch some evenings, would watch them ride past and shake his head with a small, tired smile. "Wasted years trying to break what only needed to be understood," he'd mutter to no one, and go back to his coffee. As seasons turned, the story of that day never faded. Mothers told it to their children by the fire on cold nights, the tale of a black mare no man could ride, and a fearless widow who walked into a corral with nothing but patience and a soft voice, and won her over in just 15 minutes. And every time the story was told, it ended the same way, with the same quiet lesson passed down like an old, trusted saddle. Strength alone breaks nothing worth keeping. It is patience and understanding that truly tames a wounded heart.